We're back with Hayley Cashel. I hope you've missed me because I've missed you.
I'm so glad you're back.
And I think today we're going to skip some sections, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about section 6 and the testing regimen you do and those sorts of things.
Yeah, we're going to jump to end of line. Today we have 2 vehicles at our end of line station, station 6. So that'd be fun to walk you through what we're doing there and give you a peek at how we make sure vehicles are ready to go in the field. Part of the crossover from station 5 to 6 is that we enable high voltage. Up till now, there's different systems that have been coming online, but we're not actually enabling the high voltage system. So it's going through, we check that it works, but we don't turn it on. And what that is for the safety of our technicians and just training of our team. So once it crosses this line, we consider it hot.
We are now looking at a hot product.
Yes.
The high voltage system is enabled.
Yeah, and so what that means is that all the testing that happens here, every inspection that happens here, we have to make sure that we follow all of our procedures as if the product is hot.
Just situationally speaking, because we're going to be doing this a little out of order, but this is the marriage station back here. So this is when the canopy and the tub meet.
Yeah, so the canopy and tub meet, we do some finishing touches on the inside at station 5 and then move it over here.
Okay.
Overall at this station, we walk through a bunch of different tests. We do the end of station check from station 5, which is our final build out station, and make sure everything that was built in that station was built properly, which is a lot of the finishing features on the inside of the vehicle. And then we go into full vehicle end of line tests.
I noticed we just caught a vehicle leaving.
Yeah. So the one that just went out is VIN 10.
Okay.
And that one's going out for water ingress testing. So we make sure that every vehicle has been fully tested, every window, every seam, the door, and make sure that no water's getting in when we're not expecting that, and that it's behaving as expected, so that we don't have a problem in the field and you don't have a problem in the field.
Okay, and that's just one of the tests.
That goes through functional checks of everything. So do the lights work the way that we expect? Does the dishwasher run when we run it? Does the fridge hit the temperature that we thought it was going to hit? All the things that we think work, we want to make sure they still work after we built it. And then after that, we go through a couple more engineering tests, or engineering-oriented tests that are really fixed towards our early customers. Well, we make sure that we are delivering what we expect and getting the data that we need from vehicles to continue improving. So we go through a TrekDrive test. So this is like a shakedown on the road with TrekDrive, make sure that it's performing properly. That's actually where we calibrate the hitch sensor as well. Alex will talk to you about that today, but he is the one that does the hitch sensor calibration right now. And once we have that standardized, we'll hand that off to the production team. And we do a general shakedown test. So we take the vehicle through a bunch of road miles, take it back and make sure that everything performs as expected still. And then finally, we do what we call like a burn-in or a camping trip, and it's a simulated camping trip where we are mixing and matching what's being used and making sure that everything still functions properly when it's a more chaotic environment versus a very prescribed environment.
Okay, so you basically do, let me just replay that. So you basically do a lot of what I would call static testing of the internal systems, the external systems. You do a shakedown of the critical key components that you've added to a typical RV, and then you put it through a real life scenario simulation.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to walk through that today with Alex.
Yeah, Alex will take us through the engineering side of end-of-line testing. So everything that's more intensive, that is especially related to launching a new product and making sure that we really understand and have more data about what's going on with the product that we're launching. So he'll take you through the complicated things that we're not yet ready to pass to production, although our end goal is for all of these things to move into production's hands.
Okay, so right now you're still using engineering, IP engineering resource to do some of this because you want to feed that you want to feed that data back into your production process.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
My name is Alex Heinsley, and I am a test engineer here at Lightship. First thing we're going to talk about is really kind of the after this end-of-line final inspection that we do, where that's when the whole vehicle is really just stationary, and we're going through, it's basically hundreds of checks going through the underbody of the vehicle, the interior, the exterior, and just really checking off any of the issues that we have found through the production line. But my test next is really, let's get this thing not only on the road to get its initial shakedown and everything, to get its legs under it, but then also at the same time, we're getting the calibration numbers and everything we need for TrekDrive at the same time, so we can turn that on and enable it And then the final part is actually the long-term burn and extra testing we do. I'm kind of responsible for is after kind of the end of line testing, inspections, quality and everything, is actually getting the vehicle on the road and getting really its legs under it and doing kind of what we call a couple different things, shakedown. So the initial driving on the road, making sure all the functional checks, everything looks good. How can we make kind of an efficient and effective test for this vehicle and whittle that down into the most important core aspects, what we're really trying to verify and validate, and then pass that on to the production and quality team so they can start taking that over. So, because with this vehicle, there's a lot of aspects, a lot of components. You've seen it going through the builds and everything, that we just need to make sure everything as a whole system is working together. But we also need to make sure that's done in a way that can be done quickly at a manufacturing scale and still is teaching us everything that we need to know. Basically, we do kind of check all the main road critical functions. Like while it's stationary here, right? We can check the brakes are functioning, the emergency brakes are, the lights all look good and everything, and do all of our checks to make sure this is road ready. And that's when we actually kind of get it outside, get it on the road, and do some smaller loops around the facility. But at that point, it's not 100% ready for the TrekDrive to enable road mode. And so
You're indicating something extra, which is there's a whole piece around calibration of TrekDrive and naivete on my part, which is it's plugged in, it just goes.
These are kind of, this whole design is kind of made in-house and everything. These sensors are, precision sensors with pretty high accuracy. And with that, you can, we have an idea of nominally what these should show, right? When they're hooked up, when they're not hooked up, we can see the load values and everything like that. But with every vehicle, we do want to get it on the road and see on the road, driving around, what those load pin values are actually reading. And then we want to correlate back, take all that data, bring it back and kind of do some data analysis on it to make sure it's within the nominal that we're expecting, if that makes sense. And then if there is a little difference between what these load pins are showing and what we kind of expect, then we can basically generate offsets to add those offsets in. So when we turn on TrekDrive, it now knows, okay, this value that it's reading plus this offset means, I either have to add propulsion or, hey, we're slowing down, we need to add a regen into it. So we kind of understand where these numbers should be, but we want to get it on the road and confirm that we're correct and good to go before we just turn it on immediately.
This is the pilot for TrekDrive.
Exactly.
If I consider, or the drive, like if I consider
this is it, because it doesn't, once we dial these in, it doesn't matter what vehicle is kind of coming up and hooking up.
Done a deep dive into your testing regimen, particularly around, it's really not, in these early days, it's not just testing, you're still calibrating.
Still calibrating, yep.
Okay, all right.
Still pulling that data and just building that kind of diverse data set that we need. So in the future we can just keep building this and understand where our normal distribution curves are at, what we call shakedown. So that's actually getting the vehicle with its road legs. So basically pulling it outside, hooked up and everything, and then we'll do just a really quick loop around really this parking lot facility that we're checking the critical safety functions, right? Your brakes, your e-brakes, just giving a little bit of sway. This is without TrekDrive on, right? So we're just driving to make sure everything is performing as we expect. The brake lights are coming on correctly, blinkers, everything. We do that all stationary, but we always just want to make sure we check it before we go out. Then we kind of build up from there. So we go on these long kind of constant speed loops on different roads and everything, and that's where I'm starting to get the data coming from these hitches as well in these load pins. And so I'll basically run that route, and then we'll bring it back to here. And then we actually have some low mobile speed bumps and a little bit of sway testing that we'll do just to get basically that vehicle shaken a little bit so we understand, so we can feel that vehicle and then bring it back into the shop here, and then that's when we'll do inspection. So basically just in short, take it out, do a quick short lap, do a longer lap and really get all of our data for the load pins, bring it back for a little aggressive shakedown sway testing here, and then pull it in and start do another full inspection of the vehicle. Taking these vehicles on some more extended tow tests, not longer miles, but just more frequency. That makes sense. So 25 to kind of 50 miles. We're taking these out, just kind of quick loops around here and bringing them back. We're gonna not just only worry about like the driving on road performance, but we're going to actually actuate this. We're going to check every single cabinet door, every single drawer slide, all the front doors, the windows, the shades, really everything. Open up the gear rods, check everything that's going on. And we're not going to just do that once. We're going to do that over multiple days, multiple times for each component, because we want to make sure and ensure that this vehicle is up to a high standard quality. In the past, there's been that common issue of you flip it into road mode, and it doesn't initially turn on TrekDrive there. So that's been one of the things that's quickly has come up as an issue, and some of the YouTube reviewers have also said that as well, that we were able to basically keep pulling that data, feed it back, keep switching in between modes, and then give that to the software team to really diagnose and figure out what's going on. And then recently they gave us a kind of software release package where they kind of determined what that issue was. We put that software onto the system, and now, since that's been on there, now I flip to road mode, and it's running now. So there are core systems on this vehicle that we have rigorously tested with the limited amount of resources that we have. And you can really see that focus with a lot of the TrekDrive components, the battery components, and the actuators as well are a good one. So what we call kind of our main stake are kind of the components that if they don't work, those would be like trip ending. Or as a customer, you would be like, why is this not working? This is a main feature I want.
Or what the message I'm taking away is that chassis down or tub down, you're not having hardware issues. What you seem to be indicating is I need to make software improvements for the hardware to be more seamless.
Yeah.
Your testing is coming back saying I'm tweaking parameters,
yeah,
or I'm having software glitches about road mode coming on.
Yeah.
You're not having fundamental hardware issues down below.
No, nothing fundamental that's nothing really fundamental that needs to change immediately. And a lot of these are just kind of quality, kind of fine details as we especially get to the end, right?
Yeah, and I think this is where the organizational tension will come from. Again, having been a part of startups, speed to revenue is going to be a massive issue for the company, right?
Yeah,
and you're going to have both customer pressure as well as investor pressure to get speed to revenue. However, the longer a vehicle stays here, getting baked, all those issues baked out, the happier the customer, the more efficacious the product is, and therefore the longer term stays.
Slow down that speed and make sure our quality is there for these vehicles. And so that's why we're extending it a couple days. And as a company, we all understand that. And if it's just all quality focused, then and you don't have speed, it's
no revenue.
Exactly.
Yeah, no revenue, balance. No company.
It's the